straight into this one, going to be talking along the lines of training intensity, junk volume, and stuff like that. Speaking from personal experience, I fell into the trap of being afraid to break form and being considered an ego lifter, doing junk volume, overtraining, and pushing too far past what your body's capable of recovering from, and then having some reps in reserve. And I believe that led me to leaving a lot of results on the table. And in fact, what actually ended up happening was I started getting smaller and weaker because I was getting weaker because I was worried about not pushing to failure and not doing junk volume and going too far past what my body can recover. I held myself back so far that the amount of progress I was making in the gym was actually going backwards. I wasn't going forwards. I was actually going backwards because I was actually afraid to push the limits because of all this overtraining, junk volume, ego lifting kind of like folklore that's around right now. And I just shut that part of my brain off. I stopped over analyzing. I stopped overthinking it. And I just started training like an animal. I started training in a way that I found was fun. It was entertaining to me, and it allowed me to push past failure to the point where I go so far past failure that I don't even know where the line for failure is anymore.
Yeah, I just kind of do what feels good at the time. Like right now, I'm not really focusing on training super, super hard. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but right now I've been like in such a calorie deficit that it's really hard to push myself as much as I should. But at least I'm in there, and at least I'm moving, and at least I'm doing something, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm getting at is like, if you're in there to get results as far as it goes for muscle mass and strength, and you're afraid to push yourself to a point of being uncomfortable because it's like, oh, well, you're not supposed to get muscle soreness. You don't have to get muscle soreness to grow. Oh, you got to have reps in reserve. Pushing to failure isn't going to make you better. It's actually going to make you worse. Like, that's a bunch of nonsense. Like, all this perfect form and people afraid to break like their perfect form. Like, what is perfect form? It doesn't matter. Do you feel it in the muscle? Are you getting a good pump from it? Are you getting stronger every week? Are you making progress? Are you getting bigger? Okay, then it doesn't matter what the form looks like. What matters is you're getting better and you're not getting hurt. I know a lot of people want to scream and preach about form, because it's like, oh, you're going to get injured. You're going to get injured. You're going to get injured. But honestly, I have had some of my worst injuries from having absolute perfect form when it came to the gym, when it come to tearing my groin, tearing my intercostal, tearing my pec completely off and needing surgery. All those were done with 100% perfect form. It wasn't with some sloppy body English. So saying like, if you don't use perfect form, you're going to get hurt. Well, I can sit here and tell you, even if you use perfect form, you can get hurt. It's not a matter of like the form that you're using. It's a matter if your body's capable of handling it. And sometimes your body gives up and it just pops. Sometimes things just go wrong and there's nothing you could do about it. There's nothing you could have done to prevent it. I don't care how much deep tissue you do. I don't care how much massage therapy you do. I don't care how much cold, contrast, heat, baths, all that crap. There's only so much you can do for recovery till eventually your body just gets too much wear and tear. And I think doing a lot of the overstretching, over like reaching type things is actually terrible for your joints and your ligaments, to be completely honest.
Well, for me, I wouldn't say I have perfect form, but I have perfect form for me because I have a lot of injuries being a gymnast, doing cheerleading my whole entire life as a kid. There's certain exercises and certain movements that hurt me that, you know, might look like I'm doing them wrong when I'm doing them where I'm still feeling it in the muscle, but it's not hurting me. So it's my perfect form.
Yeah, well, that's why I tell a lot of people when it comes to training, I say, what's the best range of motion? The one that doesn't hurt. What's the best movement? The one that you can do that doesn't cause discomfort. Like I I see all these videos on like the proper way to do like side laterals. And I think actually, to be honest, I see a lot of videos on how to do perfect form for like side laterals, face pulls, upright rows, shrugs, curls, like all this stuff. But it's like, okay, like your leverages are different than mine. Your from your shoulder to your elbow is a different length than mine. From your elbow to your wrist is a different length than mine. Your clavicles are different than mine. Your collarbones are, which is your clavicles, your collarbones, your shoulder blades, your scapulus, all that is different than mine. My back could be longer, could be shorter than yours. My ribs could be wider, they could be more narrow than yours. So the way that my muscles and my leverages are different than yours. So there's a generalization of like, this is how you do a curl. This is how you do a shoulder press. This is how you do a bench press. But when it comes down to it, it comes to individualizing your form to fit your skeletal structure and your muscle configuration for where your tie-ins on your tendons and the way that your muscle is configured on your body. Because we're all typically the same, but what separates a lot of people is where their insertions are for their tie-ins for their muscle to tendon to bone. So depending on where that placement is on your body and how you were born and where it developed and how long your bones are and how short your structure is, your form could feel completely different than someone else's form. Like, I can't tell you how many times I hear guys talking about like, I can't feel my lats, or I can't feel my traps, or I can't feel my rear delts. And then you just move their elbows in a position that look wonky. And it's like, oh, wow, this goes against everything that everyone's ever said on the internet. But holy crap, I could feel it like a son of a gun exactly where I'm supposed to be feeling it. It's like, yeah, but now you're not doing perfect form, right? But you're feeling it where you want to feel it, but you're not doing perfect form.
Well, like, look at how much more up you go with your side laterals than me. That's what I'm saying. And I have to put mine more in the front so it doesn't hurt me. Look at how high up you go in yours right there.
Yeah, and I change my form all the time on side laterals. Sometimes I go straight to the side. Sometimes I have to come in front of me a little bit. Sometimes I have to change my elbow position and bend my arm some. So my form and my side laterals change a lot depending on where my shoulder hurts or impingement or just in general if I'm feeling like beat up or locked up. So my form can change from workout to workout when it comes to side laterals. Generally speaking, I want to feel it in the same area, but if something starts clicking or popping, I'm not going to push through that pain because, oh, this is perfect form. I'm going to change up the way I'm doing it to be able to still get that workout in, but not cause any pain or injuries or further agitate something that's already being aggravated.
Right. Yeah, I got you. Like the side laterals, it's kind of funny you mentioned the video watching people do the perfect form for that because those are like the two exercises I feel like I do the funkiest. It's the side laterals and then these, what are these ones called?
Shoulder press.
That's what I thought. I was like, is it shoulder press or is it dumbbell press? Kind of the same, right?
Okay, so there's barbell press and dumbbell press, but typically it's a shoulder press.
Okay, well, it's funny that because they can't see that I'm doing that.
Overhead press, shoulder press, behind the neck press, barbell press, dumbbell press. It's the same. It's that thing. Like I said, living in the same neighborhood but on a different avenue. It's pretty much the same thing. It just depends on the style.
Yeah, those are the two I feel like I have the most struggle with like injury wise and hurting. So I feel like I do them a little funny. And the front laterals. Pretty much everything I did tonight.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when it comes to training shoulders, like it's funny because I think that the shoulders are one of those muscles that they can either respond to really high volume or they respond to high intensity. And it could be in the middle too. I'm not going to sit here and say it's one way or the other, but really it comes down to what do your shoulders require. For a while when I was younger, my shoulders required to they responded to very, very, very little exercise selections. I could basically get away with 2 movements for my shoulders and I could just go really heavy on them and that's it. And then as I've gotten older, I have to have a little bit more variety and I have to have a little bit more range of motion because if not, I start getting locked up. And also I noticed that like my rear delts will start taking over. A lot of people say, don't train the front delts, which I think is absolutely nonsense because they're like, oh, well, you get your front delts whenever you train your chest and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, yeah, but you also get your triceps when you train your chest. So by that logic, you shouldn't train your triceps. And then you get your biceps when you train your back. And you also get your rear delts when you train your back. You also get your traps when you train your back. You also get your traps when you train your shoulders. With that logic, you shouldn't train anything. Like, it's like, oh no, I trained this with that indirectly, so I shouldn't have to train that. And honestly, my rear delts will take over my shoulders if I don't train my front delts. So I have to train my front delts because if not, my rear delts will actually take over.
Yeah, which is crazy because I feel like your front delts are way bigger.
No, my rear delts are way bigger. If you actually saw me flexing and posing and watched, my rear delts are the massive amount of my shoulder.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm normally looking at you from the front, so I don't really pay attention to the back. I mean, mine are just popping on both, so.
And
I forgot to pose.
You did
Dang
forget to pose.
I'm feeling under the weather, so.
Yeah, you're not feeling too well. And here's another thing too. A lot of people don't realize, like when you do overhead, like front laterals, like overhead front laterals, that actually hits the traps really, really well. And a lot of people, they think that like it's just a front delt. If you go from your thigh to like parallel to the ground, yeah, it's a front delt movement. But if you bring your arms all the way up overhead to a lockout, you'll feel it in your traps all the way down between your shoulder blades. So if that's a weak area of your back, like mine is, that is a huge thing that can help build that part of your back in between your shoulder blades, your lower traps. Same thing for upright rows. Upright rows are amazing movement for the traps from bottom to top. They're just a really good movement. I've actually incorporated them back into my training because my upper middle back is very weak. So now when I train my shoulders, I'm training my traps with them. So next week, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to do shoulder press, and then I'm going to do side laterals, and then reverse pec deck. And then I'm going to change over to my traps and do dumbbell overhead laterals all the way up to hit the traps. And then I'm going to do face pulls, and then I'm going to do upright rows because training my back, I focus more on my lats than anything else. So my traps can be left behind. And then whenever I train my shoulders, I focus more on my neck and my shoulders. So that little sweet spot right between the shoulder blades, right below your upper traps, but right above, like pretty much your Christmas tree on your back where your lats tie in, I neglect that area. So now I'm going to start picking 3 movements after my shoulders to help tie all that in. And I put shoulders after back night. So that way they're close together and I can make sure I'm targeting one or the other. Because tonight my traps aren't sore. My lats are sore from yesterday, but my traps aren't sore. So it's one of those things that like I need to make sure that I'm developing my whole entire body and not just part of my body if I plan on competing in bodybuilding, which I know I've been preaching that a lot for years, but it's just one of those things. Like I'm not going to do it until I feel I'm ready. And I've done a lot of cuts and a lot of bulks. You can only bulk for so long before you just start getting fat. You can only cut for so long before you just start losing muscle mass. So you have to do it in waves. You have to do it in waves. And that's what I've been doing. I've been waving. It's just taking a lot longer to get there than what I thought it was going to take.
Yeah, I got you.
So like right here doing the upright rows, you could see whenever I was doing them how much my traps were engaging from top to bottom. Did a little bit of posing tonight, just kind of showing off the shoulders and what I was doing right here. Just trying to like show the caps of it, but I still need a lot of work. I'm coming down. My body weight is coming down. So it's one of those things as the week goes on, I'm going to start looking flatter and flatter.
I think you look good.
Well, thank you. But, you know, we all feel like we could look better.
Absolutely. That's why we're in there doing what we're doing.
Yep. So video's coming to an end after the posing. So anything else you want to add or say?
No.
So closing thoughts. I think most people's problem isn't their program. I think it's the intensity that they put into their program. And I think most people are too afraid to push themselves because all this science-based lifting and all this folklore on the internet, which I think is getting people too caught up in the wrong mindset. And really you should go in the gym and have fun and find the exercise routine and the lifts that you have the most fun and get the most joy out of doing, that you can push the absolute the hardest one that won't leave you injured or hurting, but gives you a good pump and also get your muscle soreness activated the next day. You shouldn't be sore for longer than 2 days. So if you're getting sore for longer than 2 days, you might be doing a little bit too much, but just like cardio, eventually you're going to be conditioned to it. And then that soreness will go away. And then what's happening is instead of building muscle, you're more cardioing. But some people respond better to high volume. So don't neglect the high volume because it might be what you need. And some people need high intensity. Some people need both. So ultimately what it comes down to, experiment and play, and don't worry about the body English and don't worry about what others think. Just get in there because results speak for themselves.
That is very true.
All right,
like they say, actions speak louder than words, so results speak louder than words.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.